Hey, good night, everyone. I'm very happy to have finally, after almost a 1 year hiatus where we're supposed to start doing a monthly podcast, but the thing is, we're so busy that it's almost impossible. So let's just enjoy the fact that now we can finally find a time, to schedule together. And me and my good friend Paul Laine tonight on a podcast called Fastlaine tonight. How are you, brother?
Good, man. I like it. I like the name. We got to brand that.
Oh, yeah. we got to copyright this, right?
As I said, we could not call it no parking. That would just be boring.
Totally. Yeah, you're right.
I don't want that as a nickname, though, Tom, because if that's a nickname, that could have some negative, connotations. Ladies. Anyways, go on. You knew it was going to be like this, right?
Exactly. That's what's fun about podcasts. Sometimes, you listen to interviews of people, they follow the line, where they have like all those questions. And no, podcast is basically, that's what I love about podcasts. It's just like two friends, shooting the breeze around a campfire, around a drink, and just talking, And
yeah, man, I'm gonna light guitars on fire right now and get the good glow going on here in the studio, and maybe I'll roast some hot dogs.
Oh, that's awesome!
Did you bring the s'mores, man?
Yeah, I should have. So, brother, it's been a busy year. For those that don't know how busy you've been, just. First of all, you got your band Dark Horse, and you also did a brand new album with the band Defiant, a project that is very dear to you, and so much more coming up. And, brother, let's catch up about what happened in the last year.
Sure, yeah. Well, unexpectedly, Frontiers approached Bruno Ravel, obviously from Danger, a band I used to play with not so long ago. They approached him and said, would you be interested in making a record with Paul Laine and doing a project? So Bruno called me, and it's funny, when he called me, he's like, I know how you are, man. He's like, you'll probably say no. He goes, but would you consider doing this project? And so I just started laughing, and I just said, well, give me a couple days to think about it. And so I did, I hung up got off the phone, and I kept thinking over the next 48 hours, like, when am I ever going to get to work with Bruno? As you know, he mixes the Dark Horse records, but we don't do any writing together or anything like that. So, I really just did it for sentimental reasons. Like, I kind of checked my heart and went, man, I probably will never get this opportunity to do this. So I called him back and just said, yeah, let's do it. Why not? And with a lot of intrepidation, because I hadn't written any music like that in a long time. I didn't know if I could, Dom. So I just kind of said yes and winced my eyes and went, okay, let's see how this goes. And, within a couple weeks, we started writing in earnest. And honestly, the first 2 months, we wrote 33 songs. It just kind of it surprised both of us. It just started putting down the ideas. And the next thing, it wasn't, gosh, did we have enough material? It was, what are we going to choose from all these kind of snippets and bits of ideas, to make the new Defiance record. And right away, it kind of had a sound to it. So we just had a blast doing it. It was almost effortless.
Wow, but it shows, brother, because I've been lucky enough, you send me the record, and I listened to it, and I would say, it's hard for me to choose a favorite song, and every song is different, but at the same time, you can almost recognize, it shows that the chemistry between you guys is still there, after all these years.
Yeah, what's awesome is that, Bruno and I have remained friends since Danger, and we, it's that kind of friendship where we pick up the phone and call each other a couple times a week, right? Or if I need tech support, he always helps me out that way in the studio because, a lot of people don't realize this, but Bruno is a tech god, and he can kind of steer you in the right direction whenever you have an issue, especially when you work in a recording studio. And we just have a lot of laughs. So I in the beginning, I was kind of like, I hope this. This sounds funny to say. I'm like, man, I hope making this record doesn't ruin our friendship. Like, where we're getting angry with each other, and how come you want to go there and I don't want to go there, musically. And it just it was so natural. Because truthfully, Tom, when I was in Danger, the only record we really wrote together was the Dawn album. And after that, and that was kind of painful for all of us to get together and write that record because, we had never worked together. I was just thrown into the band, and we'd never, Stephen Bruno always wrote the Danger songs. And I was like the new girlfriend, coming in and being the third wheel going, well, here's my opinion. And if they didn't agree with it, then it was sort of like, okay, I got to acquiesce to whatever their thoughts are and maybe not be happy about it. So we sort of decided after we made the Dawn record, like all future records, I'll just write my songs, they'll write their songs, and we'll put them together. So there wasn't that experience of Bruno and I sitting in a room, cranking out Danger songs, because we never really did other than the Dawn record. So this was an absolute interesting experiment, and I'm really happy to say that right from the moment we started, we both were kind of like, hey, this is actually maybe going to be kind of cool. Like, I think this record actually might be good. I don't know.
It is. In my opinion,
really happy with the end result, yeah. And Rob Marcello, God, is there a better guitar player on the planet? The guy is so good.
He's absolutely great. And this, it sounds different because, I totally different from Dark Horse. Dark Horse is more country, Southern rock, but I would say the Defiance album is more like melodic, hard rock, it's totally different from Danger. Also has its own sound, so it's pretty hard to compare it to anything these days because there's not a lot of good bands left. I don't even listen to the radio anymore. I was on vacation for 2 weeks.
I hear you.
And brother, I know we've talked about it before, but I'm a big country music fan. But country music today, in my opinion, it's almost dead. It's not country anymore. It's, my God, I don't even know how to describe it. There's nobody left on the radio except you hear one song and then you can hear the top 30 and they all sound the same.
Yeah.
It really sucks, and it's the same thing with pop radio and even rock, even the old bands. Some of them changed and try to to follow the new wave, and it just doesn't suit them. It's like that's what I love about Bon Jovi. At least they remain true to themselves, even though they don't get played on the radio anymore. But that's not truly what matters because your fans, your hardcore fans, they're going to follow you. But after a while, if you keep changing styles, they don't know who you are anymore. They won't follow you anymore.
That's right. Well, I think it's what an interesting paradigm. Like, we want to talk about Bon Jovi for a second. That here's a band that still quietly sells a lot of records. They're not mainstream because they're not mainstream radio and in your face that way anymore. There's not even a lot of rock radio stations in America anymore, let alone Canada.
Exactly.
And right, so it's not reaching people through the old channels. But the diehard fans are keeping it going. I mean, Bon Jovi shows are still selling out, and why? Because the man puts on a great show.
Exactly.
He's got a legacy of great songs. And you're right. What you said is that they never really changed. They stuck to the format that they knew their fans would like. And look, I'm the first person to say, as a writer, I like to change and do things that I want to do. But I think there's got to be a thread of cohesion throughout the whole thing, where people go, right, that's still Paul Laine, or that's still Bon Jovi, or that's still whoever. I mean, yeah, John did a song with Max Martin called "It's My Life." Max Martin wrote all the Britney Spears and Pink and Katy Perry hits, but it's not like you look at it and you go, right, that's still a cool song. It still sounds like Bon Jovi.
Exactly, exactly. And we talked about on other podcasts, but I think that what you said about being good as a live performer makes all the difference in the world. Because how many times, brother, have you listened to an album or to a new singer and you go like, "Oh my God, that's good," and then you see him live and you go like, "Holy cow!" Is it really him? It's almost as because doing a live performance, and sometimes you hear a guy on the radio, don't think much of him, and then you'll see him live, and you'll be like, "Holy cow, this guy is awesome!"
Right, because he paid his dues on the live. I mean, you can always tell when you go and see somebody. You go, okay, they either came from the school of playing a lot of live shows, or they came from the school of just kind of being created in the studio. And you can do that now. You can sit there and kind of create a vocalist track just through, tuning and do a million takes and do a composite out of all of that and create something that the person could never sing from beginning to end.
Exactly.
If you told, right? And so then when that individual now goes out on a stage somewhere, guess what? There are no second takes when you're playing live. You got to be able to do that. And that's where I think, like labels lose their focus. And, we can talk about that all day long. It is true. Like, the music industry has changed. And this is sort of what you're talking about with country music too. So many artists are just sort of built in a recording studio, exactly. And then it's unleashed on the world, and then that individual then has to go out and tour it, and maybe not necessarily be that great. And in the end, the consumer pays the price.
Exactly, and they're asked to change. I was listening to a podcast with Justin Moore, probably one of the only guys that hasn't changed in country music in the last 5 or 6 years. And Justin was told to make a new album, his new album, Canada Don't Care, he had to change. He had to go with the flow and change his style. And his producer told him, don't worry, because you got so much a country voice that even if you sang, more pop country, people won't notice the difference. But you know what? I do notice the difference because it's not him.
Right.
He tries hard. There's a few good songs on the album. The other songs, you can feel almost the guy being like, holy shit, do I really have to sing this song? It's not me. It's not my style. It doesn't fit my attitude or his swagger. It's just totally not him. And but that was the condition. That's you do this album this way, or we just fire you.
You don't get played on radio.
Exactly.
That's it. And never has there been a time where things seem more formulated than right now. And I guess that's also because if you want to have the real discussion about it, is that there's so little money in music. There's not the old ways of people being able to earn a dollar. The people who are the most successful are the people who continue to go out there and play live, because they're certainly not selling on iTunes, right?
Exactly.
Selling, everything's free, basically, because you can access it. If you want to get a song, and again, I'm not trying to beat a dead horse here because everyone knows that, but it does change the ability that we have in the music industry to put money behind artists to develop them and turn them into, I've said it before, like, is there ever going to be another Eagles? Is there ever going to be another Metallica even? Or, or Bon Jovi or Bruce Springsteen or whatever? Any of these legacy artists, those legacy artists had record label money to allow them to develop over time. You've got guys now who are just putting out singles and record labels going, well, we're going to spend maybe $20,000 on this one single and a video, and let's just see if it sticks. And if it doesn't hit the first time, see you later. We got the next kid here to do it, right? And that's a shame because, it doesn't allow someone to become who they really could be over time.
It's so true. There's no second chance. Even if you add like 5 hit records, if the first single of your new album is not a hit, then the album is scrapped and you have to go and find a new label. And it sucks because, I'm thinking you've done like 5 albums, you've had 10, 12 top 10 singles. And then just because one one song doesn't catch up on the radio, then it's like, okay, see you later. There's a new guy coming in to replace you. To me, it's, but like you said, there's so much, there's not a lot of money left, but the good thing out of all of this is the fact that if you love the singer, like that's how I kept up with you, with Twitter and Facebook now and social media. You can at least follow your favorite singers and maybe catch them live or buy the new CD on their website or stuff like that. There's a lot of guys now that can make a living doing that, and like we talked on the earlier podcast, you can make a record now for less money than before, right?
Sure. And it's like, look, if you have enough kind of moxie and the ability to go, all right, I've got enough relationships out there in the industry, albeit with a recording studio or whatever, or maybe you have your own studio at home, or you can make a record and you can make it happen, but you've got to have that ability to make something that is as good as your peers have out there. And if you can do that and then kind of stay strong and be the last guy standing kind of attitude, you can have a career. But it has become a true artist's life. And what I mean by that is that if you're willing to do it, come hell or high water in whatever way, shape, or form that you can, you can have a career. You can build an audience through the internet. And at the end of the day, let's face it, it all comes down to the song. It still does come down to the song. It comes down to like how good the music is. And if you're good at social media or you can learn what to do, then you can create enough buzz to maybe keep going and earn enough money to make another record and make another record. And that's kind of the beauty of the internet, is that it has a thriving independent scene. All you have to do is figure out how to rise above the background noise, to get noticed.
Oh my God, that's the best way to put it. You're right, because you notice now that Twitter and Facebook now they start charging you money, to try to push your post, to have people, I got my like page on my Dumb Ghost Hunter page, and I get less, not views, but I get less people seeing my post than when I had 2,000 likes on my page, because now they want you to pay for having more people seeing your post. It sucks, and so if you for $7 a day you can get 1,200 more views on your video and stuff like that. But when you're not in it to make money and you're there just to create a brand, or to show, like to me, is to promote the paranormal and to show people where I've been and stuff like that. I'm never going to make a living doing that. I'm just trying to reach as many people as I can. And it sucks, but I can only imagine when you're a singer and that's your source of income, it's pretty hard to, just social media is getting harder. So like you said, you have to be different. And you have to have that hardcore bass fans that will always follow you. And I noticed with you have those fans. They follow you, and they've been following you for a long time. Not to make you feel old, but you've been doing this for how long, brother? In
30 years, man.
30 years
I've been doing this. Yeah.
I saw you 91 in Montreal. I remember. I saw you, and then the night after that, I don't know if you remember Real Isle in the Storm. I saw Mr. Real Isle, and I had a chance to do a podcast with him, in Montreal, with my friend Mike, and that was cool. I don't know if I think he has music school now. He does classes in Toronto. But he was a very good singer, and I remember seeing his show, and he had a different sound. Back then there were a lot of Canadian singers on the radio, which to me was pretty cool. You don't see a lot of them on the radio anymore. Even if you listen to Canadian country radio or Canadian rock radio, 90% of people are from the United States. It almost seems like they're not giving. Either there's not a lot of Canadian singers anymore. Maybe you can help me with that. Is there less money involved, so they push the bigger names, or?
Yeah. Well, hey, listen. At risk of of my career here, let me just tell you a little bit of a story. I mean, I go on these radio promo tours, and even program directors, like I would mention CanCon, and you know what CanCon is, right? It's 40% of what they play on radio has to be Canadian content.
Okay.
Right? But you know, when I would bring that up in a meeting with a program director and music director, you know, guys just roll their eyes and go, yeah, you know, we don't necessarily follow that. And I'm going, it's a shame in a way. It's a shame because, you know, we should have a little more national pride. And one of the reasons that we should have more national pride is because, look, there's a lot of great artists who aren't getting discovered. You know, and if you're just trying to have a music career in Canada, it'd be nice to know that there was a home for you on radio. You know, at least, albeit only if there was a 40% chance of you getting on it, it would still be nice that they would follow those rules. But I don't think that that's really being followed. And who is there to police them? I don't know.
You're right. You're totally right. Yeah, I used to work in a radio station, and you know what they did? Well, they did. What they told us was that between 1 a.m. and 6 a.m. nobody was listening. So that's where we would put all the Canadian songs.
Right.
So we would put all the Canadian songs between 1 a.m. and 5:30, 6 a.m. And then after that, during the day, we didn't have to play them. So that really sucks. That's when I met you in '91. You know, I remember I was in the studio with my friend Marty, and Doriana was your single, Real Island, Cruel Life coming up. There was a band called, I don't know if you remember them, Boulevard.
Of course.
They were good, you know, and they had a song called Lead Me On, and we would play this song, and people were going crazy and calling us and everything. And then during the week, they wouldn't get played, because the other DJs wouldn't play them. So when we were there on the weekends, we would play the songs that people liked. You know, our ratings were way better than the other DJs because, you know, we played the song people wanted to hear. And it's a good thing that we also love these songs. But, you know, guys like you, guys like Real Isle, Boulevard. I remember there was a guy, my goodness, Burden Cummings. He was a Canadian singer. He had a few singles. He used to be in a band. I don't remember the name of the band, but there was a lot of good Canadian singers back then. You had Bryan Adams, and it seemed like Canadian music was thriving. That was the good old days, you know, until, well, you know, I would say that around 93, 94, you know, the format changes and everything, and there's less radio stations now. It's more XM and satellite radios.
Sure. Well, you also got, you know, look, the face of radio changed a lot as well because now it's, you know, it's like three major companies that own all the radio stations, right?
Yeah.
Back in the day, you know, there's a lot more independents, so independents could have music shopped to them, and they would play it, and they would play for their local audience because it wasn't something on a national scale. Now, you know, not to bore people here, but, you know, you'll have someone who's a program director who's the most successful program director at a certain station, you know, and they'll telegraph that guy's playlists across Canada. So, you know, if you're you know, Joe Blow, music director, say in Calgary, and you work for Bell Media, and you have you know, the most success at your station in terms of, look, it all comes down to advertising dollars and everything else, and I won't get into that. But let's just say you become the most top-rated music director, they'll follow your playlist completely across the board, all the way across the country. Now, the audience that lives in, you know, Labrador or Prince Edward Island may not be the same audience that is in Calgary, but, you know, and let's just say, I'm using Bell Media as an example, they'll just have the same playlist across the board. What is the point of having a music director at every single radio station if they're going to follow one guy's playlist? And they do that because nobody wants to take a chance. Nobody thinks local. And, you know, they just think, well, it worked here, so it'll work, you know, across the board. And that's why radio becomes kind of boring when you can drive all the way across the country and you're like, I'm hearing the same thing over and over and over again. And that's why.
Exactly. You know, and I bought XM radio, and I thought, you know, it'd be different. But they play they have a few guys, they play on country radio there that don't get played on mainstream radio.
Sure.
And there's a few guys, that get a chance, but basically it's the same guys, whether it's XM radio or FM radio or whatever, it's the same guys and it's the same playlist and it's the same songs being played over and over again. You can switch channels and you hear Florida Georgia Line 20 times a day to the point where you get tired of, even though they're not bad. I mean, I'm just like, yeah, I want to hear those new guys. It's more. It's fun, that. Everybody used to have a different style, in the 90s. Everybody had a different sound. And now it's almost like if a guy, like Luke Bryan, I love Luke Bryan, but almost everybody's trying to be the new Luke Bryan or the new Florida Georgia Line or the new flavor of the month,
Sure.
Instead of trying to
the state of the industry where no one wants to take a chance. And I think, look, it comes down to this. The paradigm is a paradigm shift. It's changing. And what it is that, look, younger kids, do they listen to radio much anymore? Not so much. If you want to find new music, you got to go on YouTube and go on the net and find music there. You're not going to find new music terrestrial radio anymore.
So true. So true.
And I think radio knows that. And, with the advent of Spotify, Spotify is like the Netflix of music. People are willing to pay subscription fees to get all the music that they want in one place.
Exactly.
And, it's a lot easier to discover artists on Spotify than it ever is on radio. And I do see a time where radio will be gone.
I think you're right, brother. Did you get your? First of all, your new Defiance album, is it out yet, or it's?
Oh yeah, it came out. Dom, we were very lucky. It came out April 15th, and we actually hit Billboard in the first 2 weeks, which was amazing. I was in Italy when that happened, and honestly, I broke down and cried, man. I was just like, I can't believe that, I could still make a record that would hit the charts, and it's continued to sell very well since it got released. So
wow,
yeah, it's been a cool year for me that way. It just goes to show again that good music is good music, and if there's people who are, thirsting for it and hungry for it, they'll find you. And I don't know what else to say except it's been a very cool ride and a cool experience to know that you can still get some validation from your art. Like, I sit in a room on Vancouver Island in the middle of nowhere writing these songs going, I don't know if anyone's ever going to hear this, and then it comes out and people show it the love and you go, all right, that it gives you, I could live off of that one thing, for the next year, because it's not that you need validation from something like Billboard. It's just the fact that it's a marker that tells you, right, you're on the radar again, and that's cool. It's nice to create music and know that it's going to get heard and that there's people out there listening.
It is. I agree with you, and I'm very happy because if anybody deserves it, it's you. You've worked so hard, and it would have been easy for you to quit. The music industry. We talked about it in Laine in the other podcast we did, but your journey is not. I would say a normal journey. It's a very inspiring journey because you're still here kicking, and there's been different difficult days and difficult years before that. And you never gave up. You still kept on hanging on and doing the best you can to get back on your feet. And now that you're back on your feet, I'm very happy and very proud of you, brother.
Thank you, John. Thanks. Yeah, I think, look, you sort of, if anything, you come to a crossroads in your life where you go, I've been an artist most of my life, and I either buy into what it is to be an art. What it is to be an artist is to not have success sometimes, and to not have anyone care. But you still got to do it for all all the right reasons, right? And the reasons are that you have to create. And if you really have the desire to create, and it really is part of what makes you tick, and you're aware of that, you know, you have to carry on living life as an artist. Otherwise, you're not going to be true to yourself. You'll always go, you know, I don't know, kill the artist, kill the person, you know, kill the soul inside that individual. I need to create. I was born to create. I accept that fact, and how, you know, whatever I have to do to keep doing it, I'm going to keep doing it. If I had to go, you know, get a job on the side other than music to keep writing, I would do it, because it's what makes me tick. So
Exactly.
I think, you know, that's the difference also with a lot of other people out there. It's hard. It's hard. Being true to yourself is hard. It takes courage to say, fuck it, I'm just going to do this anyways.
Exactly. Because the easiest thing to do is to, not necessarily to give up, but take the easy road. You know, the easy road is always, a lot of people will go like, oh, you know, it's not going my way, let's do something else. But you kept on doing what you feel, and I think you were born to do, which is to entertain us and create music and write songs, but mostly sing songs. Because, you know, I was showing the last podcast we did, and you sang 2 songs, you know, live last time, and people at work, they were totally like, oh my God, you know, just like that, you know, you sang, you were the one, and a song from Danger, and that's incredible. How do you keep your voice so strong, and after 30 years of singing, you know, is there a secret or just good living?
Well, part of it's good living, and I think the other thing is, Dom, is that you gotta, it's like, you know, Tiger Woods is still a good golf player. He's still good. You know, is he the best he ever was? No, but you play against him and win. And I think it's the same thing. Like, I get up every day and I work in a recording studio, and I'm singing every single day. So I think that as long as you keep kind of working out your vocal cords, or, you know, if you're a golfer, you keep playing. If you're a swimmer, you keep swimming, and you're good at it, you'll probably always be good. You know, and why should we stop, right? Why should you ever stop doing what you're good at? And that makes me feel alive, Tom. It makes me feel singing is something I have to do. The times in my life that I'm most unhappy is when I'm not doing that. So you kind of take this long, hard journey in your life. You know, you start off thinking that your career is one thing, and at the end of the day, it comes back to the very same thing, that very same moment when you were in your parents' garage when you were 15 or whatever, you know, and that feeling that you had, you can find that again, and you should find that again. You should know truly why you are doing what you're doing. When it comes to, you know, following your path and your dream and your art, and that's what it is for me. So people have been very, very kind with me with this Defiance record, you know, saying, wow, this guy can still sing. And I'm like, well, I'm not, you know, I'm not a Grandpa Jones here. and I keep singing because I love to. So I don't know. I'm very appreciative of it, because I understand that they could say terrible things too, and it's just my turn to have people say nice things, I guess.
Oh, yeah, exactly. And your album's sticking in your ear. You know, I was still listening to it a few weeks ago, and it you know, it passed the test of time, because I think good music is something that is eternal. You know, you can still listen to the Beatles today or Elvis, and it's still good music. So when you,
I can still listen to Iron Maiden and go, this still sounds amazing.
That's true, huh? That's true, because good music, you know, it's almost like it brings you back in time, but you can also bring other people, like younger kids that never heard Doriana or Art of America, and finding inspiration in those songs, like you said that before, I was a young kid when I wrote those songs, but that's what I realized about every song that you sing. It's always positive, and it's always about not giving up, and it's always about, staying in your feet and keep pushing forward, not looking back, because when you look back, you're not moving forward. The best thing in life, is that, there's going to be tough days. There's going to be people that will doubt you, people, that will disappoint you. But at the end of the day, if you keep grinding and if you keep pushing yourself, to be better every day, that's the only thing you can do. That's the only thing you can control, actually.
But that's kind of the secret of life, isn't it, Dom? Because the moment that we stop pushing forward is, when life gets boring, like people, lament about, remember the good old days? And yeah, the good old days can be right now, because back in the good old days, the problem is with people that kind of have that attitude is when you were younger, the thing that got you going is that you were endless possibility. That's what you rose out of bed every single day and went, whether you knew that, and put that into a sentence or not, that is how you felt, because you had the future to look forward to. But we, and I'm not trying to preach here, but we can do that now. We should be doing that now. Life is boring without that attitude.
Yep.
So, that's kind of what keeps me going. I know I'm going to wake up tomorrow and I'm going to write another piece of music that never existed.
That's so true.
Right? Yeah, so that's that's kind of what I get ramped up about, and I realized that in my own life, after going through some troubled times, I kind of went, right, this is the one thing that's the eternal constant in my life, is that I have this ability to create and create something new, and we all have that. We all have that. We all have the ability to make tomorrow count.
And I think that your point of view is that the best song that you ever wrote is the song you're writing right now. It's about the moment right now. You're writing a song. This is going to be the best song I ever wrote. And tomorrow when you wake up, if you start a new one, that is going to be the best song you ever wrote.
That's right. And that's what you want to do, right? That's what you strive for, and that's what gets you out of bed. And it's just, again, unlimited possibility. Tomorrow I am going to do something that was not here before.
That's so true.
And that's cool, and that's why I'm lucky. I get to realize that, first of all, and second of all, I get to do it. And I never understand when people kind of give up on their art. I just think, you're giving up on your art. You're giving up on the most beautiful thing about your life. You just don't know it yet.
That's so true. That's so true, because I wish I had a gift to write songs or to create songs. But to me now, I started a wrestling. I do a wrestling podcast. We also have a website. Where I can write about the WWE. I'm a big wrestling fan. It's a way for me to verbalize my passion for the wrestling industry. And I would love to do the same thing, like a blog for the paranormal and the music that I love. But I realize that, sometimes all you have to do is to just let go. You just start writing and it just comes out, Like today, I wanted to write an article for the website, and I just started writing about my experiences when I used to drive with the WWE wrestlers in Montreal. And the first thing I knew, I had my goodness, I don't know, but maybe 3 blogs worth of text,
Right.
I imagine it's the same thing with you when you start writing a song and you go like, oh, no, this will be another song, and then you end up writing 4 or 5. Does it happen? Where you start one song and then
all the time, because you'll go, you start and you'll write something that you think is a chorus. Okay, that's the hook, and then that leads to another idea, and you go, okay, maybe this is going to be the verse, but what ends up being the verse sounds so good, you realize, oh, that's actually another chorus. Okay, I got to file this and put it away, and that's going to become another song. So yeah, that actually happens a lot.
That's awesome. That's awesome, because that's one thing I would really love to be able to do, is spend a week with you and just follow you around, film you with my cell phone, and just to see the life of a recording artist, especially when you're in a mood where you're creating. Because you told me there was times in your life where it kind of was hard, to create, and but you never stopped. But now you seem to be in a period of your life where you have like a second wind, where things are going great, and I'm very, very happy for you, brother. And I just feel like the best is yet to come.
Thank you. I feel like that too, and I think I finally figured it out, Dom. I think I finally figured that I'm happy creating, and I don't try and write anymore. I just get myself to that place, where I'm ready to kind of receive the music. I know that sounds really flaky, and I don't mean it to. You kind of know when you're in the zone. So I kind of just get my brain to that place where I go, if I start trying, I'm leaving the room. I don't want to try to write anything. I just want to write. I just want to let it come out of me. And that's kind of when the most honest stuff happens. You've heard people say, like ask any band, Led Zeppelin will go, yeah, we wrote Stairway to Heaven in 7 minutes. We wrote, the Eagles wrote Hotel California in no time. All that sort of great work that just kind of sounds effortless, it sounds that way because it is effortless. So you got to just kind of, the older I got, the more I realized I got to just find that spot all the time. And that's the only place I write from now. Wow.
That's incredible. I never realized you can write a song in 7 minutes. But yeah, I can imagine. But at the same time, do you start with the melody in your head, or they all come up together at the same time, the melody and the lyrics?
Well, no, for me, it's all the melody. I mean, when I say 7 minutes, what I mean is the basic, idea of a song, and that's any artist who's talking about writing, is like, yeah, all those chords and all that stuff came out. You go back, obviously you're going to go back and write the lyrics. But for me, personally, I hear, and flesh out the rest of the song will take longer. But for me, I hear everything all at once. So my sort of panic when I get an idea is I'm just trying to get it down as quick as possible, and so I just stick up a mic and grab a guitar and I just sort of make sort of audio notes. I'll talk to myself. I'll actually just sing the drum part, and beatbox the drum part, and then I'll lay down the acoustic idea. I'll just grab a keyboard and lay down that, and then I can go back to it and go, right, that was my idea for the keyboard, that's my idea for the guitar, that's my idea for the drum beat, and here's the melody, and then I just start putting it together.
Wow, that's amazing, brother. We're going to take a 1 minute break, and we'll be back for the last 15 minutes of the podcast, and time flies, brother. Time flies. That's incredible.
Not too much.
Yeah. We'll be back in a minute.